Good evening. Name is Don Lobsinger. I live on Taylor Street in St. Clair Shores. What brings me here tonight is that I read in the paper today that you, Mayor Heisen, were going to be attending a meeting at the Senior Center honoring Martin Luther King, meeting sponsored by the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion. I'm assuming you were probably at that meeting?
Yes, sir.
So I'm here tonight to express my objection publicly to your continued support of a group, the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion, that boasts of a founder who was a communist and who was cited by the United States government, Congress, as one of the most frequently supporting fronters for the Communist Party in the United States. I appeared before this body 3 different times at the time of the Memorial Day parade to ask that that group be denied a float in that parade, because the parade is held, supposedly at least, to honor our fallen in the wars fought for this country, to honor them. You, Mr. Mayor, I understand, were instrumental in assisting this group in getting a float into the parade when it had no business being in that parade, since, as I said, it's a group that boasts of a founder who aided the enemy that these fallen heroes fought. Now you're attending a meeting of this group to honor Martin Luther King. I don't have enough time to really go into this tonight, and since I can't do that, I'll do what I can. I'm going to come back. Because this man, Martin Luther King, whom this country's leaders have chosen to honor with a national holiday, is nothing more than a myth. And the holiday is the most colossal hoax ever perpetrated on the people of this country and our nation's history. When you went to that meeting today to honor this man, I wonder if you're aware of what a woman by the name of Julia Brown said about him back in the 1960s. Because what she said about Martin Luther King describes the real Martin Luther King, not the myth. Julia Brown served her country honorably by spending 9 years in the Communist Party as an undercover operative for the FBI. Following the death of Martin Luther King, Mrs. Brown said, Mr. King was one of the worst enemies my people ever had. Julia Brown was a black American, and as I said, infiltrated the Communist Party for the FBI, and this is what this woman said about King, that he was one of the worst enemies her people ever had. I don't have enough time left, but I'm coming back, and I'm going to quote what she said about King following his death. And I'm going to quote what the head of the Communist Party in the United States said about King following his death. And I'm going to quote what Martin Luther King said in attacking this country during the Vietnam War and lending his voice to those who burned our flag, flew the communist flag, and called our soldiers murderers and baby killers. That was the real Martin Luther King. And I'm coming back here to quote these statements, and I'm going to ask you, Mr. Mayor, if you knew it when you went to the meeting to honor him today.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Will we go in closed session?
Support.